May I see your identification?
Certainly. This is the passport that I use to register myself.
Thank you. And what is your full name?
My full name is Yash Bhausar. You can call me Yash.
Okay, Yash. Here's your passport back.
Thank you.
What do you do in your free time?
In my free time, I like to explore my city, Vancouver. It's a beautiful city and gives you plethora of options of both indoor and outdoor activities. So I like to explore mountains, beaches, and rivers. Me and my wife, we also document it by taking some pictures and videos and share it on our social media platforms.
Let's talk a little bit about social media. Do you use social media often?
Yes, I do use social media often. Being a content creator, I take a lot of pictures and videos and post it for my community. Me and my partner, Alsaba, we run this lifestyle and travel page called Tand and How, where we get to connect with our community all over the globe. And we show them our city and a little bit of Canada.
What is your favorite social media platform and why?
My favorite social media platform has to be Instagram because it lets me share pictures, videos. It lets me do live sessions, share memes, and communicate with my community. And we share a lot of pictures and videos of the daily life in Vancouver and in Canada, and also where to go, what to do, and things like that.
How has social media changed the way people interact with each other?
Social media has had a profound influence on the way people communicate, in my opinion, because social media has made communication instant, fast, right? You can communicate by using pictures, videos, text, memes. The communication has become very fast and instantaneous in a way. So you can reach out to anyone across the globe just within a few seconds.
Do you think social media has more advantages or disadvantages?
Social media definitely has more advantages, especially for us, because like I said, the lifestyle and the travel page that we run on Instagram called Tand and How, we get to connect with some amazing people across the globe. We get to interact, exchange ideas, have conversations about various parts of the world, and just see what people are doing across the globe. So it definitely has advantages, but if you overuse it or if you start comparing yourself with others, then it might become a problem.
Have you ever deleted or taken a break from social media? Why or why not?
I haven't really deleted social media, but I do take frequent breaks so that my relationship with social media does not give me a burnout, and I can always come back with my fresh creative ideas.
Do you follow any influencers or content creators online?
Me being an influencer myself, I follow a lot of influencers and content creators, and I tend to gravitate towards people who are authentic online and they share the real part of who they are, the real them, and not just a pretend Instagram personality.
That is the end of part 1. We will now continue with part 2. For this part, I will show you some questions. You will have 1 minute to read these, think about your answers. Then you will have 1 to 2 minutes to speak. You can take notes in the 1 minute preparation time if you wish. You have your note paper and your pencil there. Is that clear?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Then describe a time when you lived in or visited another country. Your 1 minute preparation time begins now. Yes, your 1 minute preparation time is up. Please begin speaking.
One of the most defining experiences of my life was when I moved to Tanzania from India. This was about 8 years ago, and I moved to Tanzania because of a job opportunity that I got there. I stayed there for about 2 years. Initially, the move was a bit challenging because everything was new for me there, including the language, the currency, the food. But eventually, over the period of time, I got a hang of everything. I picked up the local language, I understood the currency, and I started exploring the country. Now, Tanzania is a beautiful country with amazing wildlife, beautiful mountains, and pristine blue water, white sand beaches. And Tanzania is a country that gave us the inspiration to start our travel page, Tand and How. And also, it kind of gave us our motto in life, which is never settle. Always be out of your comfort zone, because when you leave your comfort zone is when you do incredible things. Living there affected me in a way it has broadened my horizons. I am more acceptable to various people, diverse cultures. I am more acceptable to adjusting according to people, and just not afraid of the new anymore. And these things define me as a person now, is what I think.
That is the end of part 2. We will now continue with part 3. Can you please put the note paper to the side, turn it over, and the pencil as well? I will ask you some questions related to the topic of part 2. Let's talk more about studying and working in another country. Why do some people choose to study or work in another country?
People choose to study or work in other country to broaden their horizon, to experience the world more closely, to experience different cultures, and also in most cases to have better education and better lifestyle. When you work or study in a foreign country or abroad, you get to meet people from diverse cultures, diverse countries, and diverse experiences. And I think exchange of these experiences would be very valuable.
What are some of the biggest challenges people face when they move abroad?
The challenges that people face when they move abroad would be challenges like language, not knowing the language, culture, currency, moving around daily, transportation. So everything is a challenge when you move to a new country. But eventually, with time, these challenges almost diminish, and then you start enjoying these places.
How can studying abroad benefit a person's education and career?
Like I said in my previous answer, it broadens your perspective, it broadens your horizon. You get to experience various cultures and traditions. And if you are in field, for example, like marketing that I work with, it is important that I understand the diversity and I have my marketing plans as per the diverse set of customers that I have.
Do you think international work experience is valued more than local experience? Why or why not?
International experience is definitely valued more than local experience, but it depends on the field that you are in. I can talk about marketing and sales, where international experience definitely helps. It also helps in certain fields like information technology and business development, because international exposure means more experience. You sort of develop your thinking in a way that you reach out to a wider set of audience.
What role does language play in adjusting to life in a foreign country?
Well, language is everything. Language is the primary form of communication. So if you know the language, you would adjust in a country way faster and much more comfortably. If you don't, there is always English to support you because English is widely spoken around the world. And then you can also use your expressions to communicate your thoughts. For example, to connect with a wider set of people, if you just smile and you tell people what you want with actions or with Google Translate, I'm sure people will understand and help you out.
Do you think more people will live and work abroad in the future?
Definitely, I think more people will live and abroad in the future because technology has made it much easier for you to be connected with the people that you love. One of the reasons that people did not move abroad earlier was the distance. But with technology, the distances have really reduced, not just in terms of travel, but in terms of connecting with people, in terms of connecting with your loved one. And also, I think we live in a globalized society now. So if you move to a few countries, if you travel, your experience would be valued more.
That is the end of part 3, and that concludes the speaking section of the IELTS exam. You will have your mark in 2 days online, and you should have your official certificate in the mail in about 10 days. Goodbye. Okay, so Yash, first of all, congratulations. That was a wonderful performance on this IELTS interview. So in an official IELTS exam, I would definitely expect for that interview to score an 8.5 to 9. So that's the coveted perfect score, the expert user of the English language. And I'll explain briefly why that is, and you can ask me questions. Feel free to interrupt me. First of all, you expressed yourself very coherently. You answered the questions accurately and your answers made a lot of sense. And you had a good amount of detail. This is primarily what the examiners or what the criteria is looking for when they're thinking, is this person fluent, band 6, or are they good? Are they giving some detail? Or are they very good Is this individual giving me a wealth of detail and information, or is it expert, where basically, am I being convinced of the information? You convinced me of your experiences living in Vancouver, of your experiences living in Tanzania, job experiences as working in marketing and sales. So they were very convincing answers. Of course, in order to achieve that, you have to have a high level of grammar and good communication skills.
Right.
And that was very clear from the very beginning, where you gave professional introduction. You didn't just say, yeah, sure, or here it is, which is kind of casual. It's like a band 6, 7. But you said, yes, here's my identification that I had used. Please take a look. You gave me your full name. You told me to call you Yash. When I asked you about social media, you explained how you use social media. You explained your creativity within social media, stating that you have your own Tend and How Instagram profile, which shares valuable information to the market or to the audience about traveling and experiences across Canada and across the globe. That kind of detail, connection, use of grammar really propels those band scores up, and up. Very good. You use some idiomatic language, like you said, kill 2 birds with 1 stone, and that's fantastic. It's not necessary. A lot of students think that you have to use a lot of idioms to get a high band score. It's actually a double-edged sword. There's a good idiom for you. It can help band scores, but it can also be detrimental to band scores if they're used incorrectly, because they can be very incoherent, right? If somebody uses one wrong, it's like, what did that person just say? So that immediately drops the score. Nonetheless, and then of course your pronunciation, fantastic, right? So you speak with an Indian accent, right? But that's an accepted form, and I have no problem understanding your English. So pronunciation, a lot of candidates think that it's critical factor in those high scores. No, it's not. It's only important to the point where it's understandable. If I can understand what you're saying, if it's thick accent, doesn't matter.
So in a way, you're saying that I don't have to mimic an accent like a Canadian or a US or an English accent.
Right. Absolutely not. That's not necessary. What's much more important is that the pronunciation is clear, right? That it's understandable. Yeah. Do you have any questions for me at this point?
Yes, I do. Like when we started the interview, I never really thanked you. Like, thank you for having me here. Or when you ask a question, should I do that? Should I say thank you? Or, thanks for asking me that question, or things like that?
So one aspect of the interview the examiners are measuring is how natural the language is. The conversation should feel natural, and it should feel like a conversation, not like a Q&A, not like question, answer. It shouldn't feel robotic. It also shouldn't feel forced. The candidate shouldn't say thank you in awkward situations. However, if you naturally say, well, thanks for having me, or thanks for asking me that, and it fits the conversation, it's absolutely fine. It's not good to force it. So let the examiner speak, let the examiner ask questions. Don't wait for the examiner to interrupt you. Don't overspeak. Feel natural. You kind of follow what I'm saying? Yeah. So in certain cases, a thank you or you're welcome or how are you doing? Sometimes in the very beginning, the examiner says, how are you doing? And it's natural to say, I'm doing great, thank you, how are you? Right? And then the examiner will say, oh, I'm good too, thanks. Right? So it's natural. Yeah.
Will my marking start when we start the part 1? Or will it start with the introduction or the way I gave you my passport? When does it start actually? Or the moment I enter the room?
Yeah, very clever. It's the latter. So it's when you enter the room. And I think the minutia or the detail in this question is, when does it formally start? And when does it informally start? Right. Informally, it starts when you enter the room. Because we as humans, we set the ambiance and feelings of a conversation as soon as we see each other, right? So whether that person is nervous or prepared or upset, right? Both you and the examiner, right? Formally, the examiner starts marking when they start asking you the part 1 questions, like when I started asking you about social media. Formally, they don't mark you for introducing yourself or the passport. However, informally, if you're not able to provide your name clearly to a person, right, it's very challenging after that for the examiner to think about your score as anything over a band 6, right? So it is very important that the candidate prepares, feels confident, and is fluent and professional with those introductory questions. That will definitely help to have a high score at the end, even though it's informal.
I know this is an English speaking test, But does non-verbal communication is also rated? So my hand movements, my body language, or my expressions, does it matter or it doesn't matter a lot?
It matters. Absolutely. And again, there's a lot of confusion because there are, unfortunately, a lot of creators out there with IELTS that say, oh, don't worry about your body language, or you can put your hand under the table or whatever. Again, a big part of our communication is dictated or controlled by our body language. And even though the examiner is not formally marking your body language, like they won't say 9 for making eye contact, right? But if I'm talking and I'm looking away, that's going to impact the experience. And also, body language works as a feedback loop. So it's very important for the candidate, because when the candidate has an open body posture and their hands are up on the table, their speaking is projected. So their thoughts are flowing smoother, their confidence is greater, and that is controlled by the body language that they produce. So it will have a very direct impact on their overall performance. And if we look at expert and professional speakers, then we very quickly notice that they use body language. In fact, a lot of the IELTS content creators that tell students don't worry about your body language, when you watch those videos, you'll notice they're using a lot of body language to get that message across strongly. So
it will not be natural if I, stop my body from moving.
Exactly.
It will affect my delivery of answers.
Absolutely. Yeah. Even crossing your arms, putting pressure on your chest, it decreases your breathing. So you're not able to push your language as much, right? Now you're not able to push your breath as much. So, yeah.
And one last question. Before coming for this session, I was reading somewhere. So different thoughts. Somebody said, treat this as an interview. Other said, treat it as a conversation, a formal conversation. So how should it be treated from the point of view of the candidate?
Yeah, super good question. Both. So the idea of the IELTS speaking interview is to try to get an estimate of a person's overall language ability in both formal and informal situations. So part 1, as we can see from the questions, is geared towards more kind of like everyday conversation. But by the time we get to part 3, it's much more formal types of questions that we would expect to hear in group settings in university, when we're working on a project or in a business meeting. So IELTS is really fishing for candidates' ability to have a casual conversation that sounds professional and is clear and coherent, as well as their ability to perform formally in an interview or in a presentation. So it covers that whole range. So what I tell candidates is use both formal and colloquial English. So you can use, like Canadians, right? Wanna, gonna. It's okay to say wanna and gonna. Also remember to say want to, going to. So it shows that range and that understanding of the difference, right? That's the best way.
Okay. Those are my questions. Thank you very much.
Yeah, great questions. Thank you, Yash, and all the best.
Thank you.
If you like this video, be sure to subscribe to our channel. And to maximize your learning efficiency, begin by joining us at aehelp.com. Become a premium user to access weekly live classes where you can practice your speaking, as well as receive a full interactive course, practice exams, and over 200 lesson videos. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access. Use the code UP9 for you. Click the link in the video description below. We are an IDP affiliate, a British Council partner, an IELTS Test Registration Center, and I'm a certified British Council agent. We help thousands of students every month succeed in their goals to study and work abroad. Begin learning for success today. Join now. Subscribe to our channel. Click over here. Watch another video. Click right up here. And click our IELTS Hero to join our premium package and get access to all of our videos, practice exams, and a fully interactive course.